All right, so we just have been talking about how you are now breaching top eights in Street Fighter V, and you're doing really, really well. Went from a gatekeeper in Street Fighter 4, although known for your Sakura there as well. One issue you've mentioned you've been having is that once you've reached top eight in several tournaments now, you haven't gotten the result you've wanted from there. And obviously, top eight is a big feat on its own. Do you think that your strategies aren't working in top eight, or do you think you're not implementing them as well due to nerves or due to the waiting a day to play? What do you think it is that's stopping you from getting first or second?
Um, I think is probably part of the nerves, like because I am playing. I noticed I was playing slightly different. Some of it was like playing Ibuki. So like playing Cien's Ibuki, I'm not too familiar with Ibuki, and he hit me with stuff that he hit me with like three things people have never seen before. Like he hit me with he baited my V reversal and punished it in the corner, which I've never seen anyone do. And then he hit me with a new mid screen setup with the air kunais that I haven't seen, or Shine was telling me he didn't even know about that setup. So I think unfamiliarity with Ibuki and against Phenom, like I don't like his kind of play style. So I think that was just like a direct counter to like how I like to play. Like he was just playing really aggressive and just was rushing me down. And I didn't have a good answer for it. So I just think I just got outplayed and I just need to work on it. So yeah.
Were you nervous when you played Phenom and Shen, or was it just one of them? Or
I shook off the nerves honestly, like because I felt it before Cien, but then I didn't really feel it anymore. It was more like I just kind of got hit with things I wasn't expecting, and yeah, I felt like I played good in that match. I just lost, so don't really know what else to say besides that. Yeah.
So a question I always find interesting for top players such as yourself is when you're looking to go into fighting someone like the best Ibuki or one of the best Nakalis, how do you practice for that if you're beating your local Nakalis, or if you already know how to deal with that matchup on a certain level, but you have to face it on a higher level after that? What's your game plan for the next tournament where you have to face Phenom?
Well, I think what I would do is maybe practice with different Nakalis, like online. Like I've been playing with Vagabond lately, and he's really good. He got like ninth at NCR, and he's really strong. I could play with John. I just need to, I think, play the matchup more because I went into the tournament expecting to play certain characters, and I didn't really think a Nakali would show up, even though that was kind of stupid of me. Because there's Gamer B, there's Phenom, there's Vagabond, there's all those guys. So I think I just need to just keep playing and maybe research my opponent a little better. With Xian, like I don't think I could really do anything more than what I was doing except work on my own game plan more. Like maybe make him choke a little more, maybe apply more pressure because there's no other Ibuki like Xian. Like Xian's like even in Japan, like I think Xian's like the best Ibuki above the Japanese Ibuki. So I just think I need to maybe study Xian more to understand how to beat him. Like develop a certain playstyle that will counter like Xian.
you've had the privilege, or you've earned the privilege to play both, your local, character specialists and whatnot, but then also face off against some of the best in the world. And kind of jumping off what we were just talking about, in Street Fighter V, it feels like a lot of times you end up putting yourself into a position where it's a 50-50. They're either going to tech or they're not. They're going to block the left-right mix-up or they're not. And it doesn't really matter who you're playing against at that point. It's just a 50-50. It's a guess. So are you able to, when you play against, say Shen versus your local Ibuki, what are some things that you notice as a player in the heat of the moment that Shen does differently or better, or any of these character or these very strong players do differently than those that are just kind of more at the not the world class level?
I think what distinguishes Xian, specifically in top eight, differently from every other Ibuki is that he's very like methodical, and I could tell he was like watching my videos because like he was doing stuff to directly counter me. He knew exactly when I wanted to V reversal. He knew a lot of things. Plus, on top of all that, his neutral is like S tier. So like I have to fight not only like someone that knows exactly who I want to play, like S tier technical aspect where he's hitting me with setups no one's seen, but also like the really amazing neutral. So all those things combined are what separates him from like your average Ibuki. He's very methodical. He thinks about all this because he knows like how big it was to beat me and then automatically get guaranteed third, because that's not only more money, that's more CPT points, that's one step away. Yeah, so like stuff like this, like so it's just one. He's just one step away from like winning basically. So he knew how important it was. Like everything, like his defense, everything he was doing. He was backdashing at certain times during strings. Yeah, like
so it's just the intricacies, just knowing exactly where to stand, knowing exactly when to backdash, knowing those little tiny things that other players might just kind of go over and in their autopilot miss.
Yeah, definitely. Just they missed, and then I cornered myself, so that was a bad mistake right there. But I got out, got lucky. Yeah, what am I doing? Why am I commenting? But yeah, yes. Oh god, that was stupid. Yeah, I kept cornering myself. That was a bad idea. Like I can't do that kind of stuff on Cien. Oh god, am I gonna die?
Do you traditionally go back? I do know, like, about myself, it's hard for me to go back and watch stream matches that I lost because I'm like, I don't want to see myself make those decisions in slow motion in front of the entire world like you're doing right now. But do you go back and watch your losses on the regular, or is it something you try not to do as much?
So, my last two tournaments I didn't do very well because, like I was saying before, like the stream dropped. I was playing like too defensive and not controlling. The way Christitarian put it was like you're playing more like a Shoto instead of like Cammy, where you need to be dictating the pace of the round with like your normals and stuff. So I started to dictate how I wanted the match to be played. That way, like it was easier for me to react to what they were doing in neutral, because I was like, okay, you're gonna do this because I'm walking at them here. This. I was like downloading each step, but before that, I was instilling like the control. So like I was controlling and then being more patient. Like I think that was the big difference. Yeah. So yeah, that's what I changed the most to do better from the last two tournaments. And also, but the last two I didn't study my losses because I was really salty. So I didn't go back. But this last tournament I definitely went over how I lost to Phenom and Cien. Like I can see what I did wrong and what I had to do.
So a lot of people, obviously, you've been known, mostly for your Sakura in Street Fighter 4 and mostly for your Cammy in Street Fighter 5, and not much divulgence from that. What made you pick Cammy? Is this like a character love thing? Is this a character you thought was top tier? Is this a character you like this play style of? Do you have any interest in switching? Or, I mean, it seems like it's working pretty well for you.
Yeah, it's working pretty well right now, but the reason why I wanted to play Cammy was because I saw a lot of similarities between her and Sakura, like good normals, good walk speed, good pressure, mostly rushdown characters. She has an air move like Sakura did, good anti-air, like Sakura with a back strong. So I figured like I might as well take everything I learned in 4 with Sakura and try and apply it to Cammy, and I feel like it's been a pretty smooth transition for the most part, because I tried to play Karen at first, but even though she's she's very similar to Sakura, I felt like Cammy was more similar and fit my playstyle better than Karen did. So once I realized like, okay, Cammy's a better fit, I just switched. I guess it is kind of a loyalty thing because I am still loyal to the playstyle I learned in 4, and I'm trying to continue to develop that in this game that's not so much like 4, I guess. Yeah.
You say it's not like 4. We talked a little bit before the show. What are some of the things that you do like about the game before we get into the more common topic of things we don't like?
Some of the things I like about the game is that it's very straightforward. The neutral is pretty straightforward, but it's just scary like when people get V-trigger and stuff. I feel like you have to bait out the V-trigger before you can continue to play neutral. So that's one of the things I don't like. Like, say you're playing against like Necalli, he's throwing out roundhouse, and then he pops V-trigger. What if he hits you, he gets like a dash-up combo? Those kind of things make it scarier to play neutral. But it is also part of neutral to bait it. So I don't know. But I do like the straightforward aspect. I like that there's a lot of footsies, but the footsies are kind of hindered by the lag. So it's like a lot of the aspects I like are like they're like good fundamental Street Fighter, but there's just like those little things that are skewing the neutral that I wish would be fixed. I like more than anything. I like the community. Like I've always loved the community. I have like made a lot of good friends here, like John, Donkey, kinda, I guess. But
Better friend than you, live on the show. Got it in the archives.
I like the community a lot, so that kind of makes me want to stay. And I am a very competitive person. Like anything I pick up, I'm pretty much going to be competitive in, whether it has like flaws or not. Like 4 had flaws too, 5 has flaws. Every fighting game has flaws. So I'm just trying to adapt and just try and win. Yeah, I like winning, so I want to win.
How do you feel about Cammy getting an extra move?
It's pretty cool. I didn't ask for it, but you know.
Going off of that, there's a lot of discussion about how this next balance patch will play out. Do you feel okay? So in season 2, with where things are right now, with the game that we have right now, how do you feel about the general overall balance?
I feel like the balance is pretty good. Like I felt from season 1 to season 2, it wasn't that bad. Like I felt like the balance was pretty good, but some characters got it worse than others, where I felt like all you had to do was buff the weaker characters and then everything would have been more balanced. Instead, they kind of just like reworked who's top tier and who's bottom tier. Like they took some of the top tier, like Ryu, Chun-Li, threw them, and Nash, and they threw them down to the bottom. So like I feel like in terms of balance, like they shouldn't do the same route that they did in season 1, and instead they should try and just balance the weaker characters, like they initially said. Because I was at their San Diego Comic-Con when they were saying like our balance is going to be we're going to buff these weaker characters and make them more competitive instead of nerfing the stronger characters. So I feel like as long as they can maybe go back, maybe touch up Nash, maybe touch up Vega, Donkey, and then to touch up these characters and make them more competitive like they want the game to be. Because I feel like the game's very close to being truly balanced, but the more that they nerf the stronger characters and make the weaker characters stronger, they're being like counterproductive. Like you have to make them the matches better for the weaker characters, like in terms of just buffing up their weaknesses, you know. So that, like
who's the best character in the game right now?
I'm gonna say Guile or Ibuki. Those two are really scary right now. Like when you play against a Guile, you can feel just how strong he is, especially when you have him when he's near the corner and he just throws a random boom, pops V trigger, you get hit. Like it's just crazy. Like he gets it so quick too. It's not really fair. And Ibuki's scary because she just touches you one time and you die. Like you can't media her when she has V trigger. If you mess up your media, you're gonna die. So one thing I think they need to fix with Ibuki is like you have to fix the back roll. Her back roll animation and her normal roll, they're the same. Like she just gets up, like it looks exactly the same, and people are getting bodied by that. They need to touch that up, maybe nerf some of her mix-ups, and I think she'll be more fair because she has like everything right now. Her neutral is not that amazing, but maybe touch up her neutral a little bit, but don't make her like so burst damagey. Like she just touches you and you die. Like it's just crazy. I don't understand.
Well,
yeah.
On the topic of what you said, I mean, Guile is indeed getting, a small nerf to his V-trigger where it's going to cost 3 bars. Some characters like, Cammy and Ibuki are barely getting changed at all. Recently, we saw a set of tier lists come out of the top Japanese players, and actually Cammy, who'd been talked up a lot, was not in the top 7 of any of these tier lists. I see you thumbs upping. Do you agree with this? Do you feel like she isn't a top tier character, or do you think that they don't know what's going on? What are your opinions on Cammy in Street Fighter V right now? Obviously, she has a good wealth of results. She's not bad.
So if you look at these last results, there was 3 Cammys in top 16. So that should show that she's like at least a top 16 character, right? Like she's okay, but like I think she's good. Like she's strong. I think she has potential to be top 5. Xiaohai was telling me she's top 8, and like I can agree with that. Like because she's top 8 because all these other characters they fit in Street Fighter V a lot more than Cammy does. Like they adhere to the rush down, and like they can abuse the lag in different ways. Like it's hard to explain, but like they have just certain bursts that Cammy doesn't really have, like Balrog and Urian. They have some characters are having like really good, like almost Street Fighter 4-esque setups now, and it's all about like setups in this game and like killing someone when you touch them. And Cammy, like she has to touch you like 3 or 4, maybe 5 times to kill you. Like even though she has like good tools, like she doesn't have a crush counter that like just blows through all your normals. She has to play neutral. She has to jump. She has to dive kick. She has to play more honest than most people are like letting on. I feel like she's probably the most honest of the top tier. Like if you consider her top tier, she's one of the most honest, because the other ones they just kill you, dude. They touch you one time and it's just over. Like Laura, Urian, Balrog. It's just the burst is what makes them so much better.
So are you anti-scrubbery then? Is that what I'm hearing? You're just a solid footsies player, Alex Myers?
I'm trying to play more scrubby, actually. Like I'm seeing like, okay, like it's working. Like why am I trying to play too defensive? Why am I trying to whip punish? Like just throw normals, just start jumping, just start dashing. Like I'm just like, all right, I'll play the game the way the game wants me to play. But I have faith that the game will be fixed. So I'm kind of holding my opinion, but right now I'm playing the way the game wants me to play. So I think that's why I'm doing better. Like I'm trying to be more aggressive, be more controlling. Yeah, because I think that's why Punk's really good. He's very aggressive. He's good at controlling. He's good at reading people. Good at activating the burst. Yeah.
I'm here, Al.
Okay. Yeah. That's what I have to say about Cammy right now. And Scrubbery. I don't like Scrubbery. I want this game to be as less scrub friendly as possible. Yeah.
And I'm guessing that you actually have to go pretty soon to your class.
I have I think 7 minutes. So let's get as much as we can in right now.
All right. So on that topic, you don't like the scrubbery. If there was another game that came out, another fighting game that came out, would you give it a chance? Is there any games that on the horizon that you may try to learn a few combos for and enter in tournaments, or is Street Fighter V, important? Because you are a sponsored player. Obviously, you have something to uphold with these results. Where are you at on that front?
I want to try Infinite. Like I've always liked Marvel. I would probably try Marvel. The only other fighting game that really interests me though is KOF. Like I would totally play KOF if I had more time. I would 100% play KOF because I really loved CVS 2 growing up. I just liked how flashy it was, the combos. It reminds me kind of like of Sakura and 4. Like it's really flashy, like compared to 5. But to answer if I'll play another game, probably not, because I'm really busy with school, and I barely have time to learn a second character in 5. So I'll probably just play Cammy, play 5. Yeah.
So you got top 8 at DreamHack. It was a CPT premier event, and obviously, correct me if I'm wrong, but you're going to want to continue to do performances like that and do even better. Something in Street Fighter V that a lot of people have been talking about, though, is the lack of consistency. Players will get up there and then never be heard from again. And with the exception of, well, according to FChamp, only 5 players, and I pretty much agree with them, players are not being all that consistent. So, 1, how do you plan on being consistent? And 2, what's the difference, in your opinion, between the consistent players versus the non-consistent players?
So the way I plan on being consistent is playing the same kind of confident playstyle I was playing at DreamHack. Like you have to transitioning into like how you can stay consistent. I talked about this with Du before, and he thinks it's confidence. He said he was extremely confident in season 1, and that's how he played, and that's why he was winning. That's why he won everything, Capcom Cup. He was saying the same thing with Punk. Punk, very confident. Everything he does, every button he presses is just filled with confidence. His whole neutral, even though he's in losers, like he doesn't think he's in losers. He just plays like each game one at a time, and he's confident that he'll come out the victor. So I think as long as you play confident, you kind of play to your character's strengths. Don't overthink. You can stay consistent. Like that's how I'm gonna try to stay consistent. I'm gonna keep playing the way I did. Because some people, I feel like they'll play a certain way and they'll see it's working, but then they'll have doubts on like how they should play. So
Absolutely.
I feel like if you trust in how you play and you trust in how you got to like top 8 in a tournament or something, you should keep playing that way, but you should also work out like the little things that you were doing wrong. Like I can see what I was doing wrong, but also see what I was doing right. So I'm not going to change what I was doing right. I'm just going to change what I was doing wrong. Some people see they're doing something right, they change it. I think that's the biggest problem of consistency in this game. Also, like anything can happen, but like anything random can happen in tournament, but it's up to you to try and like nullify that from happening. And if you're not good at controlling the crazy and you get ran over by the crazy too much, then you're not going to be consistent. Like you have to have a game plan around the crazier play styles, the more solid play styles. You have to understand, like I have like 3 categories I put in people. It's like turtle, aggressive, and reactionary. So like against CJ Truth right before top 8, he was more like turtley and reactionary. So he was like those 2 archetypes. So like when I had him in the corner and I did or when I was in the corner and I did that shimmy, I knew that he was scared of my meter, and he was scared after I did a string of pressing any button. He crouch blocked right in front of me, like outside my normals, just waiting for me to do anything. Like he's gonna react, he's gonna jump, or he's gonna react to my jump or anything, right? So I knew, I was like, this guy's young, he's really reactionary, so I'm going to dash in his face and then backdash and then pop him with a shimmy. And it's just those kind of snap decisions I think you have to be willing to make. You have to pick up on your opponent as quickly as possible. Like you have to study your opponent too. I feel that's really important in this game, especially in 2 out of 3. If you don't know what they want to do, you're probably going to get hit by it. If you have an idea of how they play or what they want to do, I feel like that'll help you be more consistent as well.
That's an awesome answer. You should write a book.
Not only should you write a book, but before we let you go, I know you do some, coaching on various platforms. Do you want to let the people know where they can do that and the tournaments you'll be at before you have to go to class?
You can sign up with me on Cross Counter Training / I think Alex Myers, and you can follow me on Twitter. I'm going to start streaming more. Follow me on twitch.tv / Alex Myers SF4, and my Twitter is right there. Yeah, RN_Alex Myers. So that's where you can see me. You can see me complain about school, the game, see me compliment the game. I don't know, but yeah, just follow me. And yeah, thank you guys for having me. I had a lot of fun. I'm sorry I can't stay as long as I wish I could, but yeah, I had fun.
All right, we appreciate it, Alex. Thank you for coming on the show. And
No problem.
I'm sorry to
Thanks,
everyone, including Alex, for the technical issues we had. We will certainly have Alex back on at a later date to give him the interview he deserves. With that being said, we are currently getting Ace King Offsuit on the air to join John and myself on our usual panel, where we'll have Steve's CPT recap and we'll do our regular block grab and talk about a few other things. John, how did you like interviewing your buddy?
Dude, that was actually a lot of fun. I think I should replace Efren. I don't know.
You think you should replace Efren? I do too,
No,
actually. So you should just fly over here.
Dude, I'm down. I could get myself some crazy Hawaiian shirts and stuff, and we can just tag team this whole thing. Shake and bake. No, shout out to Efren, though. He's a good guy, and I hope he's feeling better.
All right, I think we have Steve on the air. Hopefully his mic is working properly. Are you there, Steve?
Testing. Am I on?
Oh, there he is.
Indeed, you are on. So, Steve, I'm going to throw you right into the fire and ask you for a CPT recap.
All right, let's do it. We're going to start out in Asia in no particular location. We started out with the Asia Online First event. If you didn't know it was happening, you're not alone. They didn't announce it until Tuesday. They released the schedule on Tuesday night, Wednesday morning in Asia. Like, oh yeah, your first event is this weekend. So, and as you can see, Lex C got the win out there. Mind RPG, who pulled out some good events last year, got second. Gact, Chuan, a couple players who did well online as well last year, got third and fourth. Leslie, if you remember a few years ago back at Canada Cup, the run he had, it's good to see him playing again, getting top 8 there. So that's the first of 16 online events this year, 4 in each region. It's going to be a fun season for that. So
I'd like to
hopefully
mention
this.
a
Go
few
ahead.
of those names are pretty notable. I mean, we've got Strider Ben is actually, I believe, a Guile player. And I remember NuckleDo making a tweet that Strider Ben is part of why he picked up Guile in Street Fighter V. Because as you remember, when Guile came out, dude didn't play him for about 4 months. And then, of course, you actually saw, Leslie and Gact and all those guys are Singaporean former people who played with Xian a lot back in the day, I know, on, Cross Counter Asia and stuff like that. So, pretty cool.
Singapore taking half the top 8, so pretty good weekend for them. And then, of course, the big one this weekend was DreamHack Austin out in your backyard. How'd that go for you, Donka?
I actually got tied for last place in Street Fighter V. I did not enter the tournament. So,
But you're understating yourself. Let's talk about the real game here. How'd you do in Hearthstone?
in Hearthstone, I made it past the Swiss face where you play, versus everyone, and then I lost immediately on stream while looking like a fool in top 16.
But hey,
can't
you
watch
got
it. I
money,
had
though.
my knees on the table like the entire time, like this, and I was like leaning back, like putting my head. Like I rewatched the video. I had to turn it off 40 seconds in because I did not. I had not slept for like 2 days straight. I only played Nerdstone for like 2 entire days, and it was basically just me at my regular. So I don't know why I'm complaining about it, but
Yeah, I mean that doesn't sound like any different from what you do here.
pretty much not. But let's go on to the actual people who matter. The results at DreamHack.
Well, I don't know why we're talking about this because why are we surprised? Punk wins. Once again, the Alpha coming through. Second premier event victory of the year for Punk. Another 400 points for him. He took it over Haitani in the grand final. Shen got third. Phenom fourth. Alex Myers, our guest, tying for fifth with Justin. And then Goichi and Snake Eyes, another strong performance for him in top 8. Are we able to pull up his losers bracket run?
I believe we will be pulling that up right shortly. Yes, there we go.
Just he lost in pools to CJ Truth in top 48. It was a 3-out system, so they didn't run losers finals. He went straight to the top 48 bracket, and just look at what he did. 2-1 over Magneto 1080p, strong Texas player. 2-0 over Vagabond, another strong Texas player. Then it just gets silly. Xiaohai, Daigo, Ricky, Snake Eyes, Justin, Phenom, Shen. A combined 18-1 against those players. That is high. How's it going?
Is there a reason we're seeing it like that? Are we off the air again?
I don't know. No, I don't think so. But yeah, that run is just absolutely ridiculous. And they don't know what we're laughing about in chat. I'm sorry, guys.
All right, so we had Punk winning DreamHack Austin. Was that, I believe that was the last or CPT recap thing we had going on?
Do we have the global standings?
I believe we do.
Yes, we do. As you can see, the top 3 of DreamHack was Punk, Haitani, Shen. Top 3 of the global standings, Punk, Haitani, Shen. I can say Haitani's name, I swear. NuckleDo in 4th. He's automatically qualified, so you can pencil those top 4 names in right now. We figured it would be about 500 to 600 points to get in, somewhere in there. Punk's already at almost 1,000. It wasn't even May by the time grand finals ended. He's on a ridiculous tear right now.
Well, it's pretty interesting because we've heard this narrative that consistency in Street Fighter V is impossible, it's dead. And then we've also heard that only 4 or 5 players can do it. I wonder, does that if 4 or 5 players can be consistent, does that mean that they're just so much better than everybody else, or do they know something doesn't? Like, what are your guys' opinions on why Street Fighter V consistency is supposedly dead?
I think it's much harder to be consistent in this game because obviously there are certain characters that they can guess their way into just touching you one time, and that can be the entire round. And because of that, you're seeing a lot of people just lose, and there's a lot of times you lose, especially online, and you feel like that was completely unwarranted. I'm smarter, I was outthinking my opponent, but they just did their Balrog, Laura, Urian, whatever. That topic has been exhausted, sure. But it gives me hope that someone like Punk, that someone like Haitani can go in almost every event they attend, do extremely well and be consistent in the way they're doing. That means that there is a possibility. So instead of whining, it is the old get good, adapt. It is possible, and to do that, I think that it requires that you intricately study the game. At the beginning of Street Fighter V, before it even came out, the devs said something to the effect of, "We want a game that's easy to play and very difficult to master." And I think that's what we're really seeing here. Anyone can get on and do a combo that takes off half your life, that puts you into a reset, that will then take the rest of the other half of your life. But how many players are positioning themselves like Shen, so where he can punish Alex Myers' Cammy's V reversal attempt, where you can put yourself in a position where you're ready for the likely maneuver that your opponent's going to do. It's little tiny nuances, little tiny intricacies that are making or breaking wins and losses at that top level. So yes, it's a lot easier for, like in Street Fighter 4, for someone that was pretty good to beat someone that was okay. Street Fighter 5, not the case, but you can get up into that level if you care enough, to play hard enough, to study enough, where if you are up at this top level, you will consistently beat those that are below you.
Yeah, I think once the game settles down. Remember, last year at this time, this was a brand new game. So it took some time. So you had the people who were very good at learning games quickly, the Justin Wongs, the Infiltrations, coming out, dominating early, and then there was a little bit of instability at the end as people caught up. Now there's another little jumble with the Season 2 patch. There will be another little jumble once this 2.5 patch comes out, whenever that is. But I think we will see more consistent results. It's like they say in poker, the hand might be random, but if poker's random, why do you see the same faces at final tables? So I think we're going to see that more and more as the season goes on.
Yeah, and I just think something to add, which is that I think the competition level of fighting games has just gotten higher, and as a result, it's a bit harder to be consistent. In golf, in other individual sports, you have your top players who consistently top the leaderboards. You had your Tiger Woods, and in this game you have your Punk. But it's much easier now to understand what you're doing wrong and to fix it. You have people inboxing, you have people posting tech, where when you lose to Xian, someone's going to break down the mix-up exactly for you, and you know what to do the next time. Whereas maybe in early Street Fighter 4, you had to figure that out yourself, if you even could. No one could explain to you the mix-up, etc. So I think the tools for people to leapfrog each other are there more so than ever, and that's part of what you're seeing. But that's just my take on it. Speaking of which, you mentioned Season 2.5. In news this week, we found out that there will be a demo for the new CFN, including a new character who may or may not, and definitely is probably Ed, May 11th through the 14th. So I don't know if either of you had more info on that.
Yeah, this one, unlike the first one, which was PC only, this will be on PSN as well. You do not need to own Street Fighter V in order to play the demo. You can just it will be open for download. You'll be able to play it online during certain times. There will be downtimes like last time for maintenance and data checking and all that stuff. But if you've never tried Street Fighter V and you want to, now's a good time to pick it up. Or, in a week and a half.
Now, I guess this is a demo, so it doesn't include the balance patches. So the original end of April balance patch is still kind of up in the air as to when it's going to come out.
It's tied to the CFN. This is something that I don't know. I don't remember if we got to talk about it last week, but the new character and the new balance patch, according to Capcom, are tied to this new CFN system. And since that wasn't ready to go, they had to hold off on everything. So A lot of people are guessing June for the patch. Maybe it's late May, maybe it's June. We don't know. But we do know that it will all come out at the same time. And hopefully within the next week or so, we'll get some official confirmation on who this character will be, Ed.
It makes me kind of nervous, though, because if it's not late May and it ends up being, things usually come out at the end of the month for Street Fighter V, and if it's late June, that means right after CEO, but also 2 weeks or so before EVO, maybe 3 weeks. So.
I completely forgot about that timing. So
I mean, would Ed even be legal at EVO at that point? You know,
I mean, the rule was 2 weeks last time, but I mean, and that's its own thing. Like a new character, great, but it's not only a new character; it's a whole new balance, and with new moves for different characters, new frame data. I mean, if they're not going to pull the trigger at the end of May, I dare say wait until after EVO because it's a sticky
you
situation.
almost wonder if EVO will make decisions to not use the updated patch, but that's probably out of their hands, honestly, because you assume Capcom will force them, right? So I mean,
there is no way they would. There is no way that Capcom would allow EVO to not run their latest version.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with that.
They will make, and I can talk, I swear. Either EVO will make the exception, which I think will happen, or Capcom will make EVO make the exception. One way or another, we're going to see, no matter when it's released, as long as it's before EVO, the new patch will be in the game on stage.
Well, speaking of new patches, we have another new patch coming out, but for a different game. That's for Guilty Gear Xrd Revelator 2, which also has a demo coming out. I believe that's out right now. Correct me if I'm wrong?
That came out yesterday.
And yet again, you don't need the full game there. You can go and download that right now. I know a lot of top SF5 players have been tweeting about potentially downloading it. So that'll be really cool if you want to get that for free for a few weeks before it comes out at the end of the month.
Yep, and that is available to anyone in North America through PlayStation Plus. So Europe, I'm sorry, you're out of luck. PC players, I'm sorry, you're out of luck too. But one interesting thing with this patch is that it includes the full offline versus mode with the new characters, Answer and Viken. So this has created a bit of a problem for some of these tournaments coming out in this period between now and when the game officially launches. So events like Texas Showdown and Combo Breaker, they signed up for they announced Xrd Revelator tournaments, but now they're starting to wonder, should we run Rev 2? Texas Showdown, I know they are actually running the Revelator tournament as their main tournament, but they're running Rev 2 as a side event. And then Combo Breaker, they're polling their entrants to see which way they want to go. So creating some problems there.
Yeah, that is certainly, it's an interesting question, and it's been actually the way for this for variety of Guilty Gear patches. They've actually had a Guilty Gear demo for Revelator 1 where they had similar issues come up. They've typically tended to, for the first few weeks of the demo, go with the older version as that's what people signed up for way in advance, and slowly transition to the new game, which eventually everyone will want to do. So I think these things work themselves out pretty well. The bigger issue is going to be the Pro Tour with obviously hundreds of thousands of dollars on the line, where you make the decision there. And then, in other Capcom news, we had Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. After the trailer, we had these worries. We had Yipes in here reacting to some of the things we heard, such as the down Shoryukens. And we have since then heard that John D deemed this fake news. That we do not actually only have down inputs for Shoryuken. Some reporter later clarified that, Ryu still has a regular Shoryuken. Several other characters do have down Shoryukens. Peter said it's something they're testing that's not 100% guaranteed yet. So it seems like there's a lot of info, but no one really knows exactly what's true.
Marvel Infinite and their infinite inputs, right? The timeline kind of goes like this, and you kind of summarized it a little bit. But yeah, last week we were talking on the show about how there was the simplified DP motion, and everyone was losing their mind because, hey, we don't want these simplified inputs in our game. We want it to be hard. We want it, execution heavy. Okay, so we had that conversation. A little while later, John D came out and said, no, that's fake news. That's not what's going on. Okay, so now we're thinking, okay, there aren't down inputs. Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite was released to certain media sites where they got to actually play the game. Two of those sites, Game Informer and GameSpot, I don't want to, mess these up, reported conflicting reactions to it. Game Informer said that there were no charge motions and that there were no
half circle.
Was it half circles? GameSpot said, yeah, there are those. And they cited like Hulk has a charge motion, that Ryu has his traditional Shoryuken with the forward, down, forward, then punch motion, but that there are still down, punch, simplified motions. So we're getting information that conflicts, that maybe conflicts, that might be true, that might not be true, left and right about MVCI and its infinite inputs. At this point, what I'm personally doing is saying, all right, well, inputs aside, we'll figure that out later because it doesn't sound like anybody knows what's going on. Let's look at the pretty lights and the colors and talk about the story and stuff until more concrete stuff comes through, because nobody can get their stuff together with in terms of inputs.
Well, that's kind of what bothers me, not the inputs themselves. If they're simplified, then there's going to be simplified inputs. If there's not, there's not. That's not what makes or breaks the game for me. What I'm worried about is, if you look at Street Fighter V, what are the two worries? What are the two ongoing concerns about that game? If we had to limit it to two, it would be lack of content, feeling rushed just in general, and a lack of effective communication with the community. We now know that the game is coming up much sooner than we originally anticipated, so there's that worry about the rush. And this whole, are the inputs in there? Are the inputs not in there? This could be clarified if Capcom came out and said, yes, they are, or no, they're not, or it's something we're working on. But instead, we're getting one person saying, no, it's fake news, another person saying it's something we're trying. It's, again, this muddled communication. We just want a simple answer. Whatever that answer is, will probably be fine. But I'm more worried about this inability to give an answer for this issue, much more than whatever the answer itself is.
That's been a pretty massive issue, honestly, for obviously months and months now, getting that straightforward answer. And I mean, it's something that, we've heard rumors of, whether or not it's Japan not allowing America to talk, whether or not it's America not allowing America to talk, whether or not the Japanese are hearing more than we are. There's tons of stuff going on there, and it's going to be pretty difficult to figure it out until obviously they talk to us more. But in my opinion, the game looks pretty nice so far. So I mean, I'm going to stay positive personally until we see it, with that hint of skepticism. Obviously, you have more. You're shaking your head there, Steve.
I'm the other way. After everything that's happened with Street Fighter V, they need to prove me wrong. I'm very, very skeptical. They need to prove me wrong in my skepticism. So far, this past week has not shown me that they're going to. I hope I'm wrong. I really do. But as of right now, I don't think I am.
What's the end if they don't prove you wrong? Like, are you just not going to play the game, or are you gonna?
As of right now, I'm not picking up Marvel. There's too many good fighting games coming out. I'm really excited about Tekken. I want to pour some time into that. I want to try getting back into Guilty Gear. There's just too much competition right now for my gaming dollar, for my gaming minute. Mm-hmm. And I want to spend it on a game that shows me love. I want love. Can I just get some love?
As devil's advocate, of course, Tekken on console is coming out about 2 years later at this point than it came out in arcade. Now, they have said that's because they want to give us a more complete product. So do you prefer the extra wait time to get the game in a better state at that point, is what you're saying?
Here's what I'm saying. It's when Street Fighter V came out, what was the price?
I believe it was
$60.
When Tekken 7 comes out, what will the price be?
Probably the same.
So we're looking at they're both offering the same product for the same amount of money. Which game am I going to get more out of? Now, I've enjoyed Street Fighter V. I've gotten at least $60 worth of entertainment out of it, but I figure I'm definitely going to get $60 worth of entertainment out of Tekken. With Marvel, as of right now, I'm not sure. That could change down the line, but as of right now, I'm spending my money on Tekken.
Man, but I wouldn't hold my breath because of the way the climate is nowadays. Outside of just whether or not Capcom is going to be more communicative and such, the way games are nowadays is come out with the initial product at $60 and get ready for DLC for the rest of your life as long as the game's doing well. You're going to be paying more and more and more along the line. So that, I feel like, deters developers from coming out with a full game, or at least the urgency of coming out with a full game. It might not be perfect, but let's get it out there because, hey, we can always amend whatever happens in future DLC and future patches. And I think as a result, we're just seeing whatever shoved out the door to get on the shelves by whatever the deadline is. I think that as players, unless there's some kind of big march against it and we stop buying games until they change this up, that's going to be the expectation from here on out, and it's only going to go more in that direction, as sad as that is.
I think there's certainly most gamers realize that is how companies are making money now. I'm not going to begrudge a company for trying to sell a product or trying to make money off a product, because that's what they're a business. That's what businesses do. But there's a right way to do it, and there's a way that rubs me the wrong way. The way Tekken is doing it, they're telling you exactly what you're getting beforehand. They're saying, hey, here's the full cast. If you buy the season pass, you're getting all of these costumes. You're getting 2 extra characters that will be revealed, one on this date, one on a later date. That's what you get. With Marvel, we're getting, okay, there's going to be a season pass. You'll get 6 characters beyond what's in the full game. How many characters in the full game? We don't know yet. Which characters will they be? We don't know yet. They're selling us the next step before they've even told us what the first step is. Mm-hmm. That's what worries me.
You got to learn to be surprised, Steve.
You know what? I'm an old man. I'm cynical right now. I'm like 5 years away from telling kids to get off my yard. And I don't even have a yard.
Speaking of cynicism, I'm going to transition us into our last topic, which will transition us into our impromptu block grab, which is that also at DreamHack Austin, outside of the Street Fighter tournament, we did have a Smash Melee tournament, and the winner of this was a certain Hungrybox, who was also our EVO champion, who won in a way that a certain article writer found unappealing. I'm not even going to read these tweets out loud, but basically Hungrybox won a match by timing out a character, which is pretty rare in Melee. You have 8 minutes on the clock, 4 stocks. Usually these matches end with 4 or 5 minutes left. Hungrybox timed him out with 3 stocks. The match was somewhat difficult to watch, admittedly. You see, the Ice Climbers player suiciding just to get his second climber back so he can try to get the win desperately. But most fighting game players will agree that this is something that is part of the game. Smash should probably change the rules if they want that to change, have less stocks, have less time, etc. But what Hungrybox did was totally fine. My question for the block grab was, which of the following scrubby things actually piss you off, even though in your head you think, I should be okay with this? And I'm going to start off with what Hungrybox did, which is running away. John and Steve, do you block or grab running away from your opponent?
Look, are we going to get mad at Mike Tyson's opponents for not letting him punch him in the face? Are we going to get mad at the Patriots for not letting Tom Brady get sacked? Are we going to get mad at anybody for following the rules while trying to win? No. Don't hate the player, hate the game. This doesn't piss me off. Get good. Block.
Wait, so what am I answering here specifically? If I block, that means what?
You can agree in your head that you think it's fine, but does someone playing super lame piss you off? Like do Guile players piss you off, John?
I want to take this a little more personal and say there was a certain Filipino man, I'm sorry, sometimes I confuse the two, from Super Arcade, used to play a character you might remember named Rose, with the most godlike backdash in the game, and he would spam the crap out of that. And it was already a hard matchup for me, but that made it, that took the cake. With him just playing like run away, negate my entire fireball game, run away. Yeah, of course that pisses me off. Do I think that it's a part of the game and you should use it? Yes. But if we're just asking, does it piss me off? Of course it pisses me off. So whatever the answer is that says, yes, I get mad at that, that's the one I go with.
You're grabbing, running away.
Grabbing and running away. Yeah.
Personally, I block this only because I'm a very scared player. So if the other guy's running away from me, that means they're not attacking me, which means I can down back myself. So I'm very happy about this. So I will block on running away. Number
Just
2.
Guile versus Guile, both holding down
I'll
back.
love it. Number 2, we've got fireball spamming. I think Steve's just going to block all of these.
Look, you can't spam fireballs if they're just throwing them out. There's ways around it.
We're in the mind of a scrub right now, Steve. Which does this?
I am a scrub. I'm telling you. There's ways around it. Get good. Block.
As a Goken player, I am a fireball spammer all day. As a person that plays against a fireball spammer, there are so many ways around fireballs. I am super not pissed off by anyone that's going to throw fireballs. I welcome that. So again, whatever the answer is to appreciate it, I'm not mad at it at all.
Yeah, it seems like fireballs have become. They went from something that when before Street Fighter 4 had come out and people generally knew about fighting games, people thought they were spammy, and now the fireball game is what people miss and really want back in Street Fighter, so that's pretty interesting. That was all I had written down, actually. This is a pretty bad impromptu block grab, unless either of you two had some scrubby things that pissed you off, even though they should not.
Yeah, people that don't allow you to take your turn, just like people that just put their head down and say, I just want to be in the offensive all the time. And the moment you do something to try to turn that around, I'm going to do something, even if it's completely scrubby, to make sure I'm not on defense. I'm just going to DP if you start putting me on defense. I think that's kind of the way Phenom plays, just completely unabashed, just like, I'm going to do what I want to do, and what I want to do is be on offense, and nothing you do is going to take that away from me. That pisses me off.
You know what pisses me off?
What pisses you off, Steve?
Not skipping the intro animation. Like, you've seen this 1,000 times. You know what Ryu looks like. You know what Ken looks like. We brother like me, I got things to do. I got places to go. Let's mash that button and let's trade blood. If you want to piss me off, that's how you do it. But can we talk about what pisses other people off?
Yeah, what pisses other people off? How have you what have you made someone mad with, Steve?
All right. Well, I don't know if we have it ready yet, but the question of the day on Twitter, inspired by this whole Hungry Box issue, is what is the saltiest message anyone has ever sent you post-match? We went through a few of our favorites. Vertigo off the bat said, got a message that said, you're a scrub. All you do is block. So, which is...
If only there were an answer to blocking.
Yeah, if only you could, throw them or something. AZ Mark Anthony got reported for being good, apparently. that it's illegal to be good. Damascus, our friend, our EU Letoops in EU on the commentary desk. Not the saltiest, but rather the best hate compliment. Quote, I wish I had programmable controller too, after getting hit by every combo ever. You got to love that passive aggressiveness in the compliment. So props to that. My personal favorite, though, is from Fruit of Wisdom. He said his wife playing Tekken 6 got a message that said, "You may think you're good, but you're actually not. That was cheap." Which doesn't sound that bad at first, but when you think about it, if someone sends you a rage-filled message like, "Oh, get good, you know, whatever," that's whatever. But if someone uses proper grammar, proper punctuation, states it in a sensible way, and says you suck, then you start thinking, "Oh man, maybe I do suck. Maybe this guy knows what he's talking about if he's stating it like a fact so calmly. What's going on here?" So that would be the one that does the most mental damage to me. So that's something we're going to try and do every week. Question of the day. You might see your responses on here. If you want to make sure you don't miss it and get news about our show, our first word about our guests, you can follow us on Twitter at Best of V Show. V being the Roman numeral for 5. So check us out.
All right, and I think unless you two had any more you want to talk about, that's going to bring us to the end of this week. I apologize yet again for the technical difficulties. Hopefully we can have those all ironed out by next week, and hopefully Evan will be back as well to host the show, because God knows I'm better at sitting here and answering questions. Thank you, everyone who watched, and have a good one.